Do you like the idea of playing quarterback for your team in Heroes of the Storm? Well, if so, Abathur is the perfect hero for you. Let's go ahead and check him out. Alright guys, what's going on? This is Dim and we're going to do a character overview of Abathur. First off, as always, let's go ahead and talk turkey first. He is the top tiered pricing hero, which means he's going to come in at $10 or 10,000 gold. It is the most expensive hero pricing, but we'll discuss that and see how we feel about that later. As far as skins, there's only one, and that's Pajama Abathur for Abathur, which puts him in jammies. Skin unlocks are different than any of the other skins in the game because each one is completely different. One gives you choo-choo trains, another one gives you aeroplanes, and another one gives you Zerg jammies. To note, that comes at a price, $14.99 for a skin. I'm gonna let you guys sit and figure that one out, see if that one's worth it to you. But I did rate this as a top 5 skin because I do think it's really awesome. Unfortunately, nobody really sees you on the battlefield, and if they do, you might be kind of doing it wrong. We got a bunch to talk about with abilities, because he actually really has two different sets of abilities. One is Abathur, and one when you symbiote, the abilities that you get from there. Alright, so let's talk about abilities first, and I'm actually going to cover his W ability first, because symbiote is a little bit different. So W is Toxic Nest, which is on a 12-second cooldown and stores 3 charges. And what that does is it spawns kind of pretty much a mine that arms after a certain amount of time, and it can also reveal the enemy if they walk past it. They do last for about 90 seconds, but they can be disarmed with just a standard attack. So that's up to you. So you got to be mindful about how you place it, especially if somebody's running away. You're not gonna. It does take a little bit of time to arm, so it's not an instantaneous damage. And that's really the only ability as Abathur that you're going to be casting as Abathur. The next ability is his Q ability, which is Symbiote, which gives you, it kind of assists the target by putting kind of a minion on top of the follow of whoever you target. And that gives you the abilities in a kind of a new UI. It looks sort of the same, but it gives you 4 different new options in your combat bar. So we'll start with what it does. Your Q ability now becomes a stab, which is technically considered a skill shot, and it shoots a spike towards an enemy that does scaling damage. Your W ability is Spike Burst, which deals 42 damage to enemies near the ally that Abathur is controlling. And Carapace shields the assisted ally for scaling shields, and lasts 8 seconds with a cooldown of 12. And then the fourth ability is not really an ability, but it is R, which cancels the symbiote with your target character. Now just note, after level 10, if you mash R twice and your mouse is nearby, make sure you don't accidentally cast your ultimate when you don't mean to. So, yeah, he's kind of a unique character in the sense that you're not really doing anything as Abathur himself. Now, also to note, he doesn't have a mount. He has a tunneling ability that he can appear out of where any place that's visible on the map. So that means if there's minions, if there's creeps, if there's minions controlled by you, or if there's enemy or ally heroes, you can actually dig up to be right next to them. Now, there's not much of a reason to do that. The Bribe, which we'll go through the talents next, Bribe was a little bit more popular before it got nerfed. It used to be 10 stacks that'll let you bribe a minion. Now it's 20, so it's a lot more in order to take over a full camp, especially a camp of 4. You actually need 80 stacks of bribe, which takes quite a long time, and I think it's better used elsewhere. So you're not really going to be moving much out of the base. Again, playstyles vary, and some people might still really like bribe after the nerf. So let's go ahead and talk about talents real quickly. Level 1, you have your locust is I'm sorry. Your passive ability also spawns a locust in the lane that you're closest to. So you will get lane XP for your team and help your team by doing that. So to go back to that, your level 1 talent will gain 20% increased attack speed for your locust. They can get 30% extra health. Your toxic nests can actually deal 30% extra damage over time. And what we talked about just before was Bribe, which will give you the 20 stacks, will let you control a minion merc instantaneously. For me, I kind of like either the Locust Combat Adaptation, a 20% increased attack speed, or the Envenom Nest. It really depends on your playstyle, how much you're jumping out of Symbiote to put the Toxic Nest down. Personally, It really varies, especially on larger maps. It's nice to get those nests down. I kind of go for the, I would say it's a toss-up between combat adaptation and envenom nest. That's up to you. Level 4, you can increase the radius of your symbiote spike burst by 100%. Toxic nests can now be placed from unlimited range, and promote is a standard rule set. For me, I like the toxic nest being placed at an unlimited range. On most maps, you can hit about halfway across the map before you're out of range. On the larger maps, you get only about a third of the way. The Ballista Spores is my choice every single time. Level 7 will give you increased range of your symbiote stab by 33%. Toxic nests slow enemies for 50%. Symbiote Carapace also heals the target for 7 health a second, or scaling health, and your standard rule set for Call Down Mule. For me, I like to play Abathur as a support role as well, to couple with the shields. The Regenerate Microbes is typically my choice. I do like that as soon as you latch on to a person, he is going to get healed. And if they're in kind of a tough predicament, you could symbiote to them, shield them, and they'll slowly get up heal. It's not enough to certainly withstand a sustained attack, but if they're running away and only getting a couple periodic hits, you could save a character there. So I do like to Regenerate Microbes. Another follow, the Groove Spines is actually a good one as well. It's increased the range by 33%. But again, Regenerative Microbes is my choice. For level 10, you have one choice, Ultimate Evolution. What it does is it actually makes a copy of whatever player you symbiote. And after 12 seconds, you actually get access to their ultimate ability. So as long as you stay alive for 12 seconds, you'll have that character's ultimate ability, and you control the character just like you would that character. Now, this is where the skill comes in a little bit more with Abathur, because you need to, like I said with the quarterback, you need to be able to control the plays, but you also need to know what your characters on your team will be able to do. If you, for example, control Kerrigan and don't know Kerrigan's abilities, you're going to waste time trying to mouse over and figure out what you're doing, or you're just going to be button mashing. And it's really not the ideal possible way. You really need to have a good idea for what the heroes do and what their abilities are before you jump into Abathur. Otherwise, you're going to kind of shortchange yourself. But I'm telling you, it is an awesome ability. If you have somebody, for example, on your team like Raynor, where if he did Hyperion, you're going to get a Hyperion. And if you're doing a team battle or a core push, you're going to get double Hyperions, because there's no penalty to what the Hyperion does. You are doing full damage. And there's a couple other hero abilities where this kind of plays in fact as well, and it's just, you're going to get a duplicate hero there, and it's just incredible. So it's an awesome, it's definitely an awesome ultimate. Level 13, you can gain a cleave attack for your Locust. You can gain a long-range siege attack for your Locust. Your Symbiote Stab gains 1 charge to a max of 3, and Toxic Nest gains 2 charges to a max of 5. Now, these are all pretty good talents. I like the Spectral Efficiency, which gives your Symbiote State a charge of 3. The reason why I like that one is because if you're spamming the Symbiote Stab, you're only going to keep the 1 charge. But if there's a little bit of downtime, you are going to build up the stack of 3, and it charges every 2 seconds, so it's not like it's a long recharge. And you can actually, especially in later levels, they actually do a pretty decent amount of damage. So if you have 3, and it only puts you on a global cooldown of 0.5 seconds, so you could fire 3 shots in 1.5 seconds, and then have the next one ready in another half second. So you'll have 4 actual symbiote stabs in the span of 2 seconds, and that's a lot of damage coming out. Another option is if you really want to, if you're going to be soloing, if you're going to be relying on the XP from one lane, you could give the cleave attack. It's not bad. Or again, if you're using Toxic Nest a lot, the charges to 5 is good. But to me, I like the symbiote quite often, and the extra charges is just really nice for burst from Abathur, especially in if you're getting somebody running away and you want to just burn them down while somebody's chasing afterwards. Level 16, you get Envenom Spikes, which is Symbiote Spike Burst, also slows enemies for 40%. Symbiote Carapace also increases the movement speed of the target by 40% for 3 seconds. And a Spawn Nest gains the ability to spawn a nest near Abathur that hatches 3 locusts. Now, I like the Envenom Spike, typically, because I do like being able to control the hero, especially a lot of times you're going to be controlling a melee hero because you know that they're going to be up close in battle, and it works good for your symbiote pairing and your player-based area effects. So Envenom Spikes will slow them down by 40%, which is a lot when you have a melee trying to chase them down and make sure that they don't get away from you. Swarm Nest is actually good as well if you really want to use them to for lane creeps, but I'd much rather prefer the Envenom Spikes. Again, personal preference, but that's my choice. And level 20, just like any other character, you want to upgrade your ultimate, and that lowers the cooldown of your ultimate evolution to 90 seconds and increases the duration for 60 seconds. Again, what this does is it'll give you a clone of whatever hero you choose. And in this case, you can do it now every 90 seconds and control them for a duration of 60. So if they have short ultimates, you actually might be able to get 2 ultimates off, because remember, it's a 12-second waiting period, and then you can launch the ultimate. But if they have a 12-second waiting period, a 30 to 40-second ultimate, you're going to have enough time to launch a second ultimate before your character's done. This is a no-brainer. So that's the talent, and essentially what I've been kind of hinting to with Abathur is you really want to watch the map a lot. You're going to be focusing on the mini-map, see where the action is, see which heroes need your help. That's where you're going to want to go. That's where you're going to want to help them. That's where you're going to add the DPS. That's where you're going to add your support, your shields, your healing, and you just kind of control the flow of the battle. Now, you need to make sure that you're always watching the mini-map, because tides of battle can change, and you could see that it's a 3-on-3 battle, and your team has a distinct advantage, but then there's a 1-on-1 that you might be losing. You can actually tip that 1-on-1 battle if you symbiote out and go ahead and go back into that person. Or you can help, maybe a weaker hero if they're trying to solo a merc camp. You can go over there and help. You have to be really versatile, and definitely don't commit to one particular thing. Also, it's going to point out which are players that know what they're doing and don't know what they're doing. Nothing's worse than a melee person that when you're one shot away starts backing up when they have 3/4 health. So you want to, during the game, get a feel for which players know what they're doing, know that they're going to be in the area that you want them to be, so that way you can pretty much do your damage and get your kills and support your team. I mean, quite frankly, if they don't know what they're doing and if they're wandering around, remember, you're firing off them, and your main shot, the symbiote strike, is actually a skill shot. So if they're moving all around in ways that you're not expecting, you got to be careful with how you're going to shoot that, because your placement may not be where you want it to be, as well as your player-based area effect. If you think for sure he's going to run into the middle and cast and in front of team mob or creeps, and he bolts up for no reason whatsoever, you're going to miss your half your area effect, and it's just not worthwhile. Now, as far as Abathur, do I feel as though he's worth the 10,000 gold? Yes, I do. I do like the 10,000 gold. I do like the the $10 purchase for him, because he plays so different. Just like Murky, he is a very different character to play, and it's a lot of fun. You're kind of get a sample of everything. Like I said, you could play any hero at any given time during the battle, and you'll be able to help them out, and again, you'll be able to really kind of turn the tide. Having said that, if you don't feel comfortable managing the map, looking all over the place, and quite frankly, you have to do enough to justify your spot on the team, if that makes sense, right? So you're making up for locking down a lane with XP. That's one thing. And then number 2, you need to tip the tides of battle. If you don't, then you're really just kind of taking up a space in the back of the base and not earning your 5th spot on the team. And with that, there are some people that do get aggravated with Abathurs, because if they just stand around, and if you see them just, casting symbiote, doing their, symbiotic link to a hero that's just, wandering around while there's another hero that's slugging it out and you haven't switched. So you really have to be on point with that. So it is a different playstyle. If you really like the in-your-face, always want to have combat, Abathur may not be for you, but if you want to try something different, and it's definitely a nice change of pace, then give Abathur a try. But anyhow, guys, this is Abathur in a nutshell, in a quick overview. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. If you hear anybody talk about Abathur or want to know about what this hero is like, what does this crazy guy in pajamas do, point them to this video and tell them that they should give it a quick watch to get an idea. In 15 minutes or so, you'll get a pretty good feel for what the character is like and if it's worth the purchase in game. So anyhow, listen, guys, this is Dim. You can catch me on Twitter at DimDoes, Facebook.com/DimDoes, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!